Hello and welcome back to GG Weekend Watch. My name's Dave Young, and again I'm joined by Andrew Mount and Matty Sutcliffe. We have 9 races to get through in this episode, so we'll be as short and sweet as we possibly can. I'm going to recap the results from last week, but before we do so, I just want to say a big thank you to the joiners on our YouTube channel. They'll get a feature up on the screen. If you're interested in looking at how you could be a joiner of this channel, there'll be details in the description. If you don't want to do that, you can just subscribe to the channel. You can always just drop a like. You can always leave a nice comment as well, or let us know what you fancy for Saturday. But the 9 races, we do need to crack on. So last week, there was 4 races where the boys got a bit of a result in there. 205 at Chester, both fancied Mount Atlas, agonising second at 8-1. Doncaster, 225, Matty suggested Apollo 1, another agonising second, this time at 12-1. In the 240 at Chester, though, Spirit Mixer for Andrew won at 5-1. Pridwin was second for Matty at 16-1. I think it was about an £80 forecast in there if anyone sort of does that with the lad selections. And then in the 340 at Doncaster, Rahib came second for Andrew in that St. Ledger, flying at the finish as well, was well supported into 14-1, tipped on the show at a bigger price. And Matty suggested Stay True. It was a valiant third at 11-2, but none of them could get to Scandinavia. Right, boys, we're on to the ITV Racing for this week. Loads of action from Ayr. We've got Newbury sandwiched in between as well, so let's crack on. The first race we'll be covering is the 115 at Ayr. It's the Ladbrokes free bet Ayr handicap, a class 2 for 3-year-olds, 0-100, over a mile. We have 14 horses who have been declared in here. Just the one firm priced up at the time that we're recording this one, Matty. So don't know whether the prices would influence your suggestions straight away, but who did you think could be worth following in that first race?
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought the 2 at the top of the market in Cafes and Northern Express were worth taking on. I don't think Cafes is all that well handicapped on a handicap debut off mark of 99. He was beaten 3 lengths in the French Group 3 last time out, but that's not really working out. And the second from his Doncaster head success at 4-1 was only rated 78. I don't think this opening mark is a gift for the 3-year-old. Northern Express is one that I've been trying to get a win out of all season. He's on his lowest mark since in about 2 or 3 years now. I think his only win over a mile came in 2023 in the first Cup. Careful how I say that one. So I just wonder whether the 2 at the top of the market are worth just putting to one side. I did want to back Thunder Roar, but I wonder whether, and Andrew probably agree with me on this, that whether just to wait for him next month in October. His form figures there, 3 wins, a 4th and 2 seconds. So maybe just wait for Thunder Roar next month. AP Risk caught the eye of late, but he was beaten in this race from an £8 higher mark, and his sole win on turf came in 2023 in the York Maiden. So there's quite a few where you can put to one side. Just on that Northern Express run, it was quite close up in the Clipper last time out, and so was Duke's Command, who travelled quite well there. He then won a good race last time out off top weight, so Duke's Command can be considered too. But I thought the one towards the rear of the market, I know you said there's only one firm price up at the moment, William Hill at 20-1, is Arctic Grey for Richard Hannon. Now, 3-year-olds have taken, I think, 4 of the last 10 winners of this race, so they can win it. Including Richard Hannon in 2015 with Mutter Saeed. He landed a Southern Knowledge on debut, beats the 99 rated second, 99 rated 2-7 favourite, although he's not really done much since. But then he bumped into Salal, who's franked that form healthily since, beat English Oak off a mark of 97 for our 3rd enlisted company, now rated 103. He then beat Fort George in 0-85 at Goodwood, giving him £2 and now rated £14 higher. 2 lesser efforts came. It was nearly last in the Britannia, and then he went backwards again over 7 furlongs at Sandown. But he was gelded 2 weeks later, didn't reappear until this month when in the 4th in the 7 furlongs condition stakes at Ascot, went 66-1. Keen without cover there, blew up a bit later on, perhaps on account of fitness, but I think now he's dropped £2, got a run under his belt. I think he's got plenty of juice in his mark off 88, given that form from early in the season. So I'll go with Arctic Grey, the 3-year-old at around 20-1.
So Arctic Grey, 20-1. There's only 3 places up for grabs, a quarter of the odds with the one firm, William Hill, that are priced up, but there'll be plenty of other firms offering 4 places, and potentially that price may hold anyway till this show gets published. Andrew, who did you like in the 115 at Ayr?
Yeah, interesting what you said about Hills offering 3 places on like a sort of 15-runner handicap, 14-runner handicap. It's one of their pundits on William Hill Radio yesterday actually tipped one up, saying, "Oh, we should this is good value to back each way 4 places, and they say, oh no, we're actually 3. So, well, surely we must be 4. So it seems that they are squeezing the places on those races now. So do check those each way terms. Yeah, a good stats race here. So as Matty mentioned, 3-year-old have got a good recent record. Long travellers. This often goes to a southern yard. 25 horses travelled 350 miles or more to the track in the last 10 years. 6 winners from those 25, 23 quid. And it's also a race that often goes to prominent races. 7 of the 10 winners led or raced prominently. Hold up horses just 3 from 69. If you just back the horse with the pro form speed ranking of 1 or 2, i.e. one of the 2 horses most likely to make the running, then you make a good profit, which is a bit of a shame because the ones I seem to like here are hold-up horses. Matty has already mentioned Thunder Raw, who's got a good record in the autumn, back to form with a 4th at 33 to 1 at Ascot last time, albeit on the right part of the track. He's got a good record in October, as Matty was saying, so his hold-up style is a bit of a worry though. Mystic King was half interesting, having finished 3rd last year, and previous renewals have often been a good guide to this. Revich was one who used to turn up in this every year, won it a couple of times. The ground could be too soft, though. It was good to firm for him last year. Have you seen the weather forecast for Ayr on Saturday? It's ridiculous. There's 50 mil of rain forecast. Now, most of that is forecast to fall from about 7 o'clock in the evening, but it will start coming about 4 o'clock if the website I use is right. If that comes any earlier, we're looking at heavy or abandoned, I think, by the time of the last race on Saturday. It's completely mad, the forecast. Sex on Fire is interesting on Richard Spencer's record in the race. He was trained Revich. But I'm going, despite reservations about the running style, I'm going to go for Impartiality each way. He needs a big field and a strong pace. He had a big field at York last time, but that was a race where the front runners stayed there. The hold-up horses didn't get into it. He was a good second at Goodwood the time before. So although it's not really been a race for hold-up horses, I think Impartiality, in the hope of a strong pace, if that going does turn soft, which looks likely, then he could plod on into the first 3 or 4. Make sure you don't back him each way with William Hill.
The 3-year-old Impartiality there for Andrew. Plenty of information given there for that start of the card at Ayr. We'll now move on to the second race covered on ITV, which is the 1:30 at Newbury, over 5 furlongs, a decent looking Group 3. There's 11 runners that have been declared in there. The market's sort of finding its feet, I guess, a little bit. I think this was one that was priced up in the week, but we've got Rumstar at the head of the market, 3-1 general, but 7-2 top price with Hills that we just had a bit of a go at in that last one. Montasibs as low as 130, but as high as 11-2 at the time of recording. Rage of Bambi's a general 5 or 6 to 1 shot, and then Shagran's in here around about 15-2. Andrew, I've mentioned 4 of the horses there. There's a couple of other ones that are still single figures as well. This looks a relatively deep renewal of this Group 3. Who did you have your eye on for this?
Yeah, it looks a good race, this. Some interesting stats as well, particularly with the draw. If you back stalls 1, 2, and 3 blind in the past 10 years, you'd have found 7 winners from 30 bets, made a profit of £18.25. And it's also been a good race for horses who are Irish bred. Those with an Irish sire, 7 from 33, and a profit of £14.50. So one who qualifies on both counts is Kurdos. For Clive Cox. So he was only 4th in the Beverley Bullet last time out, but was sort of caught on the outside and was perhaps not as close to the early pace as you needed to be. Stall 7 wasn't ideal that day. That was on good to firm. Going wise, it's tricky to know what's going to happen at Newbury. They're calling it good to soft in places. The going stick reading suggests it could be heavy on the stick readings they used last autumn. But we've got 2 drying days, windy days, and the temperatures are 23 degrees on Friday. So check out what happens on Friday, I think, before ruling anyone out on account of soft going. Shagran was one who sensibly changed running styles to win the Beverley Bullet last time out. Normally held up, running in a race where prominent racers had a great record. He switched tactics and duly won well. But another one from that race, First Instinct, caught the eye for William Haggis because he was ridden patiently in the Bullet, finished 4th to Shagran and Joe Mason towards rear, outpaced halfway. And we've already seen the patiently ridden 6th in that race, Elegant Erin, land the gamble, albeit in a lowly handicap at Beverley on Thursday. So, the stats one for me is Kurdos. I thought he could go well at a price, but First Instinct on that best of the closers 4th in the Beverley Bullet. I'll take a chance on him from stall 8.
So we've got Kurdos top price 14-1 at the time of recording, a general 8-1 shot. But Andrew's pinning his mask to First Instinct, who is about a general 8-1 shot. Quite a few firms offering 4 places in that race.
Yeah, so just make a quick couple of those. Rumsdel's got the wide draw that I've said, I've said earlier in the season was quite helpful to him, although he did win through the middle at Sandown. The Rage of Bambi, although it was 4 for 80-1 in the Sprint Cup, he did look flattered from that high draw, but he has been back to 8s into 13-2 since the betting opened.
Lovely. So that's given us a bit more information for that first race we're covering from Newbury, the 130. Matty, where was your eye drawn in this one? I loosely touched on Montasib with the market being 130 bottom price, 11-2 top price for his first run at 5 furlongs. Was he on your radar for this race, or was it someone else?
No, it would be on my radar for the champion sprint if he ran well here. Obviously, first go for 5 furlongs, probably might find it sharp enough in reappearance. But if he does run well, you'd imagine his next step will be for the champion sprint. I'm against the stat selection of Andrews, but I'm with the other selection, First Instinct. Obviously, we saw an improving filly win this last season with no half measures. She was a 3-year-old, and I think First Instinct has gone the right way too. 2 from 3 as a 2-year-old, reappeared with a good third at Bath and listed company before winning listed company at Cork as well. The second there, Town and Country, she's come out and won the Scurry Stakes at Sandown. And Babuch has also won the Lackard Stakes at Cover 2. So the form's worked out there. Then she was third in the... just go back to that Bath listed one as well. She was only just behind Frost at Dawn. Frost at Dawn's had a right season, finished second in the King Charles and third in the Nunthorpe. So there is Group 1 form that collides with the form earlier on in the season. She was then third to Symbol of Honour in the Scurry Stakes at Haydock. Not Scurry Stakes, sorry. But then in the Sandy Lane Stakes, he was only beaten 3 lengths in the July Cup. That form's worked out tremendously well. You had the Sprint Cup win a Big Mojo in 4th, the Nunthorpe 2nd in Body in 5th, and the Flying 5 Stakes win at Arizona Blaze in 6th. So that Haydock form worked out tremendously well. Slightly went off the ball next time. Second in listed company, beating 3 lengths at York, but you can always forgive a horse for getting beaten well at York. And as Andrew mentioned, fared well from off the pace in the Beverly Bullet. That came after a 50-day break on ground, maybe too quick enough for her. So I'd imagine she'll strip fit here and has a good chance of returning to that Haydock third. So yeah, First Instinct for me as well.
Well, it's always a good thing when you boys agree on something, especially when you make such a bullish case for him. Yeah, that race in Bath was the last time that Tom Marquand rode this filly, didn't he? First Instinct, and he's back up top now. She's like you say, that Haydock race is a Group 2. She's running some listed races, but she's probably got to be at least up to a Group 3. So 8-1, 4 places up for grabs. The lads in agreement that First Instinct is the horse to side with in the 130 at Newbury. Right. Back up to, I was going to say weather watch, but we don't know what the weather's going to be completely like. But Andrew said it could be dangerously bad if the wind turns a little bit. But we've got a race with just 6 runners at Ayr. We've got the 1 mile, 2 furlongs, Doonside Cup. It's a listed race. Almeric is favourite here at 7-4. We've got Certain Lad in at 11-2. He's been a feature on this show. So is King's Gambit in the past. Another horse in at 11-2. Liberty Lane's in at 13-2. We have Caviar Heights in at a top price 7-1. Tuscan Hills is a top price 10-1. So Matty, on that betting, all 6 horses have a chance. Who were you going to side with though?
I'll do everything in my power to try and take on a favourite this short. But I think this Almeric is the obvious bet at around 7-4, 13-8. At the start of the season, he had entries in the French, the Irish, and the German Derby, and the initial plan was to go to the Dante with him. So I presume he has had a setback, or whether I know that Kirsten Rowland, she's very patient with the horses. So whether she just agreed with Andrew Bolden to stay clear of the quick ground all summer and all autumn, and then come back for a late autumn campaign. Whether that's the case, I'm not too sure. But I just think he was so impressive when winning the field, and he beat King of Cities there, who since landed the Strensel Stakes last time out. Pair pulled 8 lengths clear of the third Night Walker. It was just such a good performance. It's his first run of the season, and he comes from such a well-bred Kirsten Rowland family. Andrew Bolden has won this twice with 3-year-olds in the last 10 years. And I think if he's A1, even if he's maybe at 90%, I think it's a progressive horse in the race. A lot of these failed to give the running recently. Certain Lad, we know that Certain Lad needs soft conditions. So if he does get heavy, as Andrew was saying, Certain Lad will come into play. Liberty Lane normally comes good around this time of year. It was disappointing last time out. So yeah, I just think I'm going to keep this one simple and go for the progressive Almeric.
Good choice in that one. So the 7-4 favourite, bottom price 13-8. So sort of general 7-4 poke in that race. Listed race though, when we're naming some of these horses in around, Andrew, like the likes of Certain Lad that's been mixing it in group company, looks like there'd be plenty with chances. That ground could change. Would Certain Lad be top of your list in this race?
I'll have to get back to you after Vince Lamour has just gone odds on in the 215 at Ayr, but it's now back out to 11-1, back into 2.64. Oh my goodness, looks like it's a photo. Sorry. Yeah, Almeric. I like Study of Man progeny. They've got a good strike rate and they do particularly well as they get older. So this one's been given time, and I think the absence is probably deliberate, as Matty says, as opposed to a setback. Oh, it's my other one is in the photo, Deadly Magic. Sorry, blow my own trumpet there. So proper after timing scum. But I am a fan of Certain Lad in small fields. He's a typical Jack Shannon. It tends to go well in the autumn. He's a Clodeville. They love the mud. So I think I'll have to go Certain Lad over Almeric. I'll bring back Certain Lad to win and just have a little forecast Almeric to beat him into second as well, because Certain Lad is one of those who doesn't win all that often, but often runs well in this type of race. Is course and distance winner, and I think he's going to run a decent race, but we'll just it's just prices really. But I want to save on Almeric. We'll have that forecast to beat mine into second.
Yeah, that's understandable. So caution being trod with Certain Lad, who's top price 11-2 at the time of recording. Almeric, sorry, is the significant danger in their 7-4 Matty selection. So between the lads, I'm sure that'll be another forecast notched up. We move back to Newbury though, the 205 1 mile 5.5 furlong Autumn Cup handicap. This is a class 2, a 0 to 105. We've got 14 runners in here. Pretty competitive betting heat once again. We've got loads of horses that are single figures in here. We've got Castle Coven at 6-1. We've got Dramatic Star, top price 6-1, but as low as 7-2. Majestic Warrior is a general 6-1 poke. Baylor Bay is 9-1 top price, but as low as 13-2. Stress Freeze top price 9-1, as low as 5-1. It's sort of 10-1 and bigger, the rest of these. So Andrew, this looks like a good betting heat for a handicap. 14 runners. We touched on the places earlier. There's still a lot of firms offering 4 places. Would you be having a couple of darts in here, or can you pin your colours to one mast?
Yeah, I probably would. Baylor Bay qualified as a bet for me a couple of times over the summer, being an Ian Williams horse who won last time out, who was returning to the track sort of 8 days or sooner after that win. He tends to run best in high summer, but he did run well when second the other day when Matty tipped him up. And Jamie Spencer and a hold-up horse, so that's the worry. Now, Newbury over this course and distance, generally you want to be up with the pace. Of course, the 2 previous renewals of this runnings of this race, I should say, not so sleepy, both trained by Hughie Morrison, both going from the front both times. I've been through the running styles of this race. I can only find 2 who like to be up with the pace. Majestic Warrior from stall 3 for James Tate, who has been backed a little bit, because was 7th in the E-Ball last time out. I think doing 3rd best of the British trained contingent. So I thought he had to be on the short list, although it could be much softer ground than he usually races on. But the other interesting one was for Hughie Morrison, Azahara Palace. Now, she ran second over on heavy ground at Bath last time. If the ground is soft, in the first time blinkers, from a low draw in stall 2, I thought she could be the each-way play in the race. Morrison does pretty well with his runners in first-time blinkers, although the ones coming down in trip rather than up in trip like this one tend to be where the profits are from. She's won in September before, a couple of years ago, and last year she ran at this meeting in the 10 furlong class 4 handicap. And she finished a close 3rd behind Judah Henry and Mustazid, both of whom we'll be talking about a bit later on. So having run well at this meeting before, in the hope that it is on the slow side of good in the first time blinkers bring improvement, 25-1 about Azahara Palace appeals each way.
So Azahara Palace at 25-1 top price, 4 places up for grabs, as low as 16 in general. Just to reflect back, Andrew, sorry, Baylor Bay, would that be another one for a selection, or are you just pinning it all to Adam?
It's kind of horse I'll probably want to save on, given the the quick return to action. But a patient ride under Jamie Spencer in a race lacking obvious pace angles, you know what's going to happen. Come through and be beaten the neck into second. Sorry, Matty.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So Andrew's alluded there that he thinks he knows who you're going to go for in this race. Is it that easy, Matty? Is it Bale Bay again for you?
No, not again. I've had
Another loser.
Sick of having seconds last weekend. Not going to go into that again. And as Andrew said, he genuinely needs a strong pace to come off. And as he rightly said, there's not a lot of pace on here. I'm glad that he's mentioned Majestic Warrior though. James Tate is in ridiculous form. I mean, at the time of recording at 2:24 on Thursday, he's had 7 winners from his last 9 runners, which is remarkable stuff. And he was my pick in the E-Bar. I think he finished 7th, had 6th place, which is always nice to find out, isn't it? I thought again he ran a cracking race. 133-day layoff. I think the connection said that after he bolted up at 3rd, they didn't want to send him into a listed company or ruin his mark further, so they just kept him fresh for the E-Bar. Maybe just left him too much time off. I mean, it's a massive ask having to go straight fresh into the E-Bar from that layoff. He managed to hit the front 2 furlongs out, just weakened late on his 7th, beating 5 lengths. I don't think that was on account of not staying the trip. Again, I think that might just have been race fitness. Still a fairly credible effort as well. Unexposed after 5 runs. That run at Thirst was off a 698-day layoff. He absolutely bolstered up beating Knightswood. I mean, I just think he's off the mark of 98. The fine turnaround. I suppose with these fragile horses, I mean, he's only had 5 runs. He's a 5-year-old. I mean, with these fragile types, there's only so many times you can get them fit and try and peak them for one race. So there's unlikely to be any stone left unturned here. That was his first. He seemed quite well with the big field at York as well. And he's related to Fajira Prince and Nichols Canyon. They both went fine on soft ground. So if conditions do worsen, I think they will be fine. So it'd be Majestic Warrior for the informed James Tate.
Superb. We managed to get a mention of Nichols Warrior in there. So Nichols Canyon, sorry. His brother, Majestic Warrior, is a Matty selection in that race. Good case made there as well for both you boys for like varying reasons. So it does look a competitive heat, but a couple of options to go out in there. Right, back up to Ayr. It's the Silver Cup time now. 6 furlongs, handicap. We've got 25 horses in this race. There are some firms, well, there's one firm offering 4 places, Boo William Hills. We've got plenty of places offering 6 specs up for grabs, 5th of the odds, Bet365, 5, Paddy Power, Betfair, Sky Bet, Ball Sports. That may change as we get near the off. Boys, there's so many horses in here to mention. We've got Bin Harir in at 5-1 top price at the head of the market. That's pretty short for a 25 runner contest like this. We've got Nariko as second favourite in there at 8-1. It's 12-1 and bigger the rest. Loads of household names in here, Matty. So how many darts would you need in this one?
Oh, well, not enough. I mean, it's an absolute minefield, isn't it? I mean, you've got your old mate Silky Wilkie in here, Dave. Second to Lethal Levi in the Gold Cup last season. For £14 higher mark. He returned to York. He returned to form at York last time too. Only beaten 2 lengths, so not all that favour on the far side. So, I mean, stall one's probably not ideal for Silky Wilkie, but I mean, he's £14 lower now than that Gold Cup second. Lethal Levi broke the track record that day, so you'd have to give him a squeak, an each way squeak. I thought the improving filling Nariko was of interest. Form figures of a 4th. 4 wins and a 2nd in turf handicaps this season. Overall, sorry, she's 2 from 2 this season. Won the Scottish Stewards Cup last time out. Had a Comanche Falls in 2nd. Had the subsequent Constantine handicap winner, Northern Ticker in 4th that day. He's a favourite for the Ayr Gold Cup. So a £4 mark looks fine. She only really just does enough as well. One of those fillies who battles hard late on. So I think we are at the bottom of her yet. She's Knight of Thunder. Get the heavy ground side mention in there. So if it does turn, I think she'll be fine on the ground too. She'd be the main pick, but I want to have one more chance at 5,000-1. I know he's only one from 25 on turf. But there's two good races that often throw up the winner of this race, or 2 tracks in general. It's Ripon and Doncaster. Mainly the Great St Wilfrid and the Portland is the other one as well. 5,000-1 has fared well in both those contests the last twice. Only beaten 3 lengths by intervention on the far side. It was a bit short of room there at Ripon. And again, came down the unfavourable near side at Doncaster in the Portland and beaten 2 lengths behind Eternal Sunshine. I mean, he's £11 lower than his all-weather mark, which tells you how unreliable he is on turf. But I mean, he's slowly coming back to boil. He's only had, I think, 3 races this season on turf. So he does get the gaps. He does get going at the right time. And I think from a favourable high draw, Fivethousandtoone will be the each way selection, but there'll be a Nariko for the win purposes too.
Well, you're definitely entitled to have 2 darts in this one. And with those 6 places up for grabs, could be a race where we could stick an each way double in the Silver Cup and the Gold Cup. So, Andrew, which names are we adding to the list for that each way double if viewers wanted to do that?
Yeah, interesting. Matty talked about the Great St Wilfred and the Portland, because the key to this race is just having contested a Class 2 handicap last time out. All of the last 10 winners contested a Class 2 race on their latest start. Back all 126 qualifiers made a profit of 20 quid. 117 horses ran in either Class 1, 3, 4, 5 or 6 last time. All 117 were beaten. And from their prices, you would have expected between 4 and 5 winners. So that looks significant. So of those, 3 winners came from Doncaster from 33 runners plus a 5, 3 from Ripon from just 14 runners plus 38.50, 2 from Goodwood from 9 runners plus 22 quid, and 1 from Haydock. So give extra credit to runs at those tracks in Class 2 company last time, as Matty suggested. It seems key to running a sort of a big field Class 2 handicap, 17 plus runners. Brose qualifies on that angle. And you mentioned that he might be short at the head of the market at 5 to 1, but of course the last 2 winners of this race have been returned as 9 to 2 favourite, so you might find that price could shorten up even more. I wasn't keen on Nariko, despite him having run in the Scottish Stewards Cup last time out and won that race. If you look at the Scottish Stewards run at Hamilton, there was a big draw bias. You had to be down the centre from a low draw. And if you look at the horses who were drawn low, how they've got on since, they've all got beaten. If you look at the horses who were drawn high, the cut-off been about stall 8 or 9, they've all run well. My angle for tipping up Northern Ticker at York last time was on that good run from the poor draw in that race. So maybe I'll be against Nariko with Binner here. But there are others of interest. So there's quite a few in here who did run in sort of Class 3 or 4 company last time. Quite a lot of the next few in the market. One of interest is one who didn't is Candy, another 3-year-old, trained by Richard Spencer, and this one's got good autumn form. 4 runs in the September-October period. First, and a 28 to 1 fourth to Brose at Ascot last time out, when perhaps doing a bit too much too soon. Brose came from the rear. He disputed the lead, hung right across the track. Now, it was drawn high that day, so he didn't have a rail to his right. This time he's drawn in stall 16, so he'll be a bit closer to the rail. If that's any good, that draw in 16, then Candy could go well here. That run might have been needed as well. It was his first run for about 8 weeks. So obviously there's loads of chances here. But I'll go for Candy. But the other ones of interest, Sergeant Wilco, right here, right now. Eye of Dubai, who also ran well was beaten by the draw in the Scottish Stewards Cup. And Space Cowboy was quite interesting as well. Blinkered first time. And that's a positive angle for progeny of Cody Bear, and he's running on soft ground as well. Another positive for the sire, also trained by Richard Spencer, who does have a good overall record with first-time headgear. So I'll go Candy and Space Cowboy. And we've seen Richard Spencer have sort of multiple horses run well in big handicaps like the Stewards Cup this season when he had first, third, and fifth. So maybe he can get forecast up here.
So plenty of horses and plenty of names to be thrown up there or to be written down. Looks like it's going to be a leg that you want to get through that place. But like Andrew did touch on, we've had some short priced or ones towards the front of the market that have gone well in previous years. I guess trends are always there to be broken, as well as we can use them for positives. Newbury we're back to, though, for the 240, 1 mile, 2 furlong handicap, 0 to 105. We've got 11 horses this time to go out. But again, pretty competitive betting heat on the current prices, and there's a few discrepancies between some of the firms. So as it stands, Defiance is a general 5 to 2 poke, but as big as 7 to 2. Almeric as low as 3 to 1, but as big as 13 to 2. He's more of a general price at sort of 6 to 1, I'd say. Dante's Lads in at 8 to 1. We've got Nightstep, who's also in at 8 to 1, but as low as 6 to 1. Our golden one is 8 to 1, and then it is 10 to 1 or bigger, the rest of those. So, Andrew, it seems to be a bit of the theme for this week's ITV cards. It looks a pretty competitive race.
Yeah, one of my safe systems for this race is to back last time out winners, and there ain't any. 11 runners declared, but I think even at the 5-day stage when there were 18 runners declared, not one of them had won last time out, which is quite unusual for a handicap worth 40 grand to the winner. The other angle is to back horses drawn in store 5 or lower. In the past 10 years, that would have found 8 winners from 50 bets, made you a profit of £21.50. If you then only back those drawn low who were aged 3 to 4, that 8 from 50 becomes 7 from 35 and a profit of £32.50. That angle, brings in all the low drawn runners. And as I mentioned earlier on when I was talking about the mile 5 race, I was quite interested in that 10 furlong handicap at this meeting last year for the Class 4 race, won by Eve Johnson Horton's Judah Henry, who beat Mustazine into second, with the Huey Morrison horse Azahara Palace back in third. Now, Steve Johnson Horton has won this race before, I believe. Judah Henry's had a wind operation, and again, it's sort of ground related here. If the ground is going to be on the soft side, you look at his career runs. He's had 2 runs unofficially soft going. He's won both of them. So he was a winner at this time last year at this meeting. And although this is a bit classier than he normally contests, if the wind up works and the ground is still on the slow side from stall 2, I thought he'd have a bit of a squeak here at a price. And I might just throw him in the forecast with Mustazine, thinking if they finished 1-2 over course and distance before, maybe they can do so again. Now, Mustazine sort of blew the start, lost a lot of ground at Doncaster last time out, finishing 7th. But if he gets away on terms, then maybe he can run a race. I could do with some rain for both of them, but that's the way I'm looking at it. Sort of 33s and 12, you're going to be having a sort of 300 to 1 forecast if they finish 1-2.
Well, that's good for the viewers to have. Then no one can complain about a 300 to 1 forecast. There are 4 places up for grabs, though, with some firms, so potentially they could be each-way swings for the pair of those. But Judah Henry was the main selection. Mustard Seed, I keep hearing, but it's Mustard Seed is the one for the forecast. I prefer your pronunciation. Right, Matty, the 240 in Newbury. It does look a tricky race to solve. Andrew's given us a couple of prices. Who do you fancy in this one?
Yeah, it does look tricky. Andrew's made a good case for his. It wasn't a race I was overly enthusiastic about. As Andrew mentioned, weirdly enough, no last time out winners in here. Top weights wouldn't be that positive either. I'd like to take on Defiance. I'm not sure how Almeric is a natural free goer. I don't think that he'll last home if he's keen on this soft ground. The one that I was quite keen on, and he's luckily drawn low, is Theory of Tide for the Gosdens. It looked very impressive last season on debut. Beat Dramatic Star at Nottingham, then carried a penalty to beat Steel Tiger at Yarmouth, and then they sent him to the King Edward at Royal Ascot. Was the Yard's only representative there, was well beaten 36 lengths, around 18 to 1, so relatively unfancied late on in the market. I just wonder whether that Group 2 took a bit of a mental toll on him. Was stuffed 29 lengths at Hamilton next time out, stuffed 10 lengths at Doncaster time after that. And so you just wonder whether that King Edward run had a bit of an effect on him. But his return this season as a gelding was an eye-catching length fourth at York in the 0 to 95 behind Zane Blue, with Dante's lad in second. Came from rear there, travelled really strongly, and I thought it was a strange decision from Ram Havden to switch him left. Must have gone almost half a furlong extra than the rest of the field to go to the far side. Didn't look like he hung that way. Just looked like a deliberate attempt to go to the far side rail. The first three home came up on their side. So I just think with that rule under his belt, stayed on quite well. If you can back that up, then around 10 to 1 Theory of Tides, there's a good chance for the Gosdens.
So for the Gosdens, their Theory of Tides, Cambridgeshire entry as well, this horse, over a furlong shorter. But like you say, that was a year off. He's been gelded since. Wasn't a bad effort in the grand scheme of what he's done previously. 10 to 1 at the time of recording is the top price. As I've mentioned, there are some firms with 4 places up for grabs. So a few to go out in that 240 Newbury does look a pretty tight contest. Moving back up to Ayr, though, the 3 o'clock, we've got 6 furlong, Firth of Clyde, Group 3 for the fillies. Just the 15 fillies that have been declared for this one. Another really competitive looking betting heat. I think there's 8 or 9 horses that have priced single figures somewhere. But the head of the market at the moment is Coming Attraction, 130 top price, as low as 9 to 4. Lightening Polka is a general 11 to 2, 6 to 1 point really. Argentine Tango is 8 to 1. It's 9 to 1 or bigger, the rest of these. So Matty, I don't feel like it's getting any easier, but this does look a good group race to get stuck into.
Yeah, it's not, is it? As you say, 15 fillies, 6 last time out winners. You've got Royal Ascot form, coming in here as well. You've got some York form coming in. It is quite a deep race, and it's good that they've attracted such a big field. Horses who coming out of novice company have quite a good record on this, and I thought Catching the Moon for a Richard Fahey, who has won this twice in the last 5 years, had quite a good chance. She was 12-1 second at Leicester on debut behind Awaken. Awaken was the 1-12 favourite. She was previously second in the Albany to a Venetian Sun, who of course has won the Prix Morny since and finished third in the Moyglare. So that's a strong piece of form. The pair pulled six lengths clear of the third, who's won twice since, albeit in lesser company. So I thought that was a good one over the 6 furlongs, and then she backed that up at Beverley. And I mean, that's how you want your odds-on favourites to win. She travelled so nicely behind leaders, angled out, bullied the rivals out of the way, and won on the hands and heels on the Roger Moore. It was a really impressive performance. The form's been backed up too. The winners the Ammo second was won by 5 lengths next time out. The 4 lengths fourth one calls the next time out as well. Third, so one calls the next time out. So the form's worked out strong. She's hit the line strongly too. I don't think she'll have any problems stepping back up to 6 furlong. Dam stayed 12 furlongs, so there is stamina there in the pedigree. And I think, especially with the Awakened form too, I think Catching the Moon's got a good chance.
So Catching the Moon's 10-1 top price at the time of recording, but well worth mentioning, as low as 15-2 with some firms. Andrew, like I say, decent looking group race this one, 15 runners, most firms offering 4 places. Who did you fancy in this?
Yeah, another tricky one. Like you say, it doesn't get any easier. I was looking at Ed Walker's Royal Runner, Lightening Polka, who won on debut at Haydock, coming from off the pace. Not always easy to do at that particular track. We've had a couple of once raced winners sort of land this race from a small sample. And I like Ed Walker's second time out juveniles. He made a good profit backing them blind, and he does much better with the fillies and the geldings than he does with the colts. If you back them all through his career, 29 winners from 146 bets, 20% strike rate almost, and a profit of 38 quid, 7p to a £1 stake. So those that finish in the top last time out do exceptionally well. So from what I mean, draw wise as well, it's generally paid to be about 6 or higher in this race. So Lightning Polka for me.
So Lightning Polka's top price 6-1, lowest 5-1 at the time of recording. But like I said, there's 4 places up for grabs. So a couple for the boys there in the 3 o'clock at Ayr. Right, moving back to Newbury for their last race, we will be covering the 6 furlong Mill Reef Stakes. It's a Group 2. 8 runners have been declared in here. The market would suggest this might be a little more straightforward. We've got Into the Sky in at 5-2, as short as 15-8 at the time of recording. Words of Truth is a general 5-2 poke. Rock on Thunder is a general 7-2 poke, and then it's 10-1 bar those. But knowing yourself, Andrew, and also could speak for Matty, there's 5 runners in here that are double figure prices. Is it one of those that's drawn your attention?
It's not a race that I'm usually taken with. I was, impressed by the by the visual performance of Into the Sky. The time wasn't off the clock, according to Proform's rating. Gave him speed figure of 66. But it'd be a lovely story here for Jim Boyle and Nick Goff and co. if this one did follow up. Words of Truth, that sort of last time our efforts worked out well though. Again, being by Vega, Willie won it on the soft side. Rock on Thunder. So you only found 1-2 good in the gym crack. That's not always been the greatest pointer to this race though, but he is a Knight of Thunder, and I loved him, and he will like any cut in the ground. So I thought it was difficult to split some of those. Sands of Spain's been on my radar for a while, and obviously he ran in that Newmarket sales race last time out, started favourite, finished 4th, but because you split the race by the top 10 draws and the lowest 10 draws pretty much, and it's all the low drawn ones that have been coming out and winning since, and not so with the high draws. And he was favourably drawn but still couldn't win that day. But it wouldn't greatly surprise me to see Sands of Spain be the each way horse in the race, but I'll go with Into the Sky, which is more a heart than head bet, but I wouldn't be getting too heavily involved in this race.
A romantic win if you in the Mill Reef Stakes, then if Into the Sky does get the job done. Matty, what were your thoughts on this? Were you siding with one towards the front of the market too?
Yeah, similar to Andrew. I thought Into the Sky's debut was, probably one of the most impressive 2-year-old debuts we've seen this season. He was keen early on and he just kept going, sustained his speed. Obviously, the tables have bought into him too. They must think he's wildly impressive. It just visually looks so impressive. I just think if you can back that up over course and distance, is the obvious choice. I would like to give an each way squeak to Flying Comet as well, who I think is overpriced with Rock on Thunder. Rock on Thunder, of course, only just touched off by Life Plan in the gym crack. Flying Comet was beaten at length by Life Plan, giving him £10 in a 30 novice. So I think on that collateral piece of form, Flying Comet's got a better chance to reverse that form with Rock on Thunder. I saw the 2-year-old in his own right. Was third at Nottingham on debut and shaping the run. Backed that up at Chepstow. Was fifth in a valuable race at Deauville, and then won a Windsor Nursery. Sorry. So he's got the experience. He handles the soft ground. He's got forms to turn it around with Rock on Thunder. So I think I'll play into the sky, but maybe the forecast with Flying Comet as well.
And this would be the 4th race in Newbury's place, but with the 8 runners, we've got the boys in agreement that Into the Sky is definitely the one to be siding with. But Sands of Spain for Andrew at 20-1 was given an honourable mention, and a good case made for Flying Comet being overpriced at 33s. Could be ones for your play spot at least. Right, moving on to the feature race for Saturday, the one we've all been waiting for, the Ayr Gold Cup. 6 furlongs, Heritage Handicap, all the good stuff, and 25 runners declared. We've got Northern Ticker at the front of the market that Andrew's touched on that named horse earlier. 6-1 top price for that horse. We've got Ain't Nobody, 9-1 top price. 2 Tribes at 9-1 top price. Strike Red, 12-1 top price. It is 14-1 and bigger the rest, but there are at least a dozen horses that are under 20-1 in this race that I haven't mentioned yet. So, Matty, this looks harder than the Silver Cup, but surely it should be easier given it's the main event.
Yeah, well, it's Cliff Horse galore, isn't it? I suppose that your obvious starting point is Ain't Nobody. There was a £13 well in here after his second in Moonthorpe. But I'd just provide a bit of caution to that, given he failed to back it up at Haydock. So while he is thrown in, he's also not the most consistent, and only one 3-year-old won the race in the last 10 years. So I'd be keen to take on Ain't Nobody despite him being £13 well in. One of the most interesting ones is Alpha Kalenic. She broke the track record in the Ayr Silver Cup last season. That came off the back. Well, that was a final win of a 6-timer. It was a really impressive season. Obviously been off since. I think she's picked up a little setback, but she's reportedly A1 to go. Wasn't disgraced and listed company at Newmarket, went slowly out the gates. And the ground might have just been soft enough for in October then, and given she started well, she was winning in January. I think she might have just been over the top by then. So look, she broke the track record in the Ayr Silver Cup. This will have obviously been the plan for a long time, and then she's definitely chucked in. Well, she's definitely better than the mark of 100. Just in case of whether she is fit enough to go. The other one that I was very keen on was Fahrenheit 7. I was actually interested in for the Stewards Cup, but it wasn't given an entry. His record of 6 furlongs, 3rd and 3 wins. His latest one came in the Scottish Stewards Cup. So not the Scottish Stewards Cup. Not 105 at Hamilton. Easily beat Comanche Falls there. He's down. He's obviously franked that form since at York. And I just think he's a very improving horse. Like he's won over several different conditions, sharp tracks like Epsom. He's gone around the bend before. He's won over 5. He stayed 7. Midland Park paid £82,000 for him in the July sales. I just think he strikes me as one who he's not had. I mean, he's not proven in a race of this nature. His biggest field has been 10. But he's a strong travelling sort, and I think that this 6 furlong with a bit of a climb at Ayr in the 25-runner field will suit him. He does seem best on a galloping straight track. And they're giving him an entry in the Champions Sprint, which whether that's just for badges or whether they believe he's a lot better than this mark of 93, we'll see. But so my main selection will be Fahrenheit 7, and we'll throw in Alpha Conic for the forecast as well.
Okay, so 2 horses mentioned there. Again, like I say, if you're interested in each way doubles, they could be the first 2 to potentially side with. Andrew, Carl Burke had the tri-cast last year. No runners this year. Doesn't make it easier. And as Matty's already said, cliff horses galore. So is it a cliff horse you'll be following off the cliff once again?
Sorry, where are we? The Air 335, the Gold Cup?
Yeah, the Ayr Gold Cup feature race of the weekend.
Well, I was trying to watch this that Ayr race. Yeah, it's super tricky. I kind of sort of ran out of time before having the chance to go through this horse by horse. Alpha Kalenic was the eye catcher, having won the Silver Cup in such good fashion last time out. I've just been going through the stats for Ivan Furtado with first time from switches from other stables. He's had quite a few that were Craig Lidster. I think a lot of them in these colours, 20 of them, they all got beat. But he has got quite a good general overall record with horses he takes over from other yards. And again, you've got the Richard Spencer angle here, which I mentioned for the Silver Cup. I think a few of these sort of disappointed at York last time out that perhaps that wasn't their track or they weren't well drawn. And there's I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of them run well here. I might actually go for every Richard Spencer horse in the Silver Cup and the Gold Cup and do some each way doubles and see what happens. But the one on now my colours to at the moment, with a view that this could change in my column before Saturday, is Jubilee Walk for James Ferguson, who was only 8th to Northern Ticker in a 20-runner field at York a couple of runs ago, but was perhaps a bit exposed towards the far side when all the action was down the centre. Bounced back with a better effort under a £7 claimer at Ascot last time, finishing second to Brose, Candy in 4th, Sergeant Wilco in 6th. So there's a chance that form could be franked in the Silver Cup as well. And with the ground in his potentially in his favour, he was pulled out on soft ground once. That was over 7 furlongs 2 years ago, though. And this season he's been pulled out on good to firm ground and run his best race with some cut at Ascot. So maybe Jubilee Walk, another study of man 4-year-old, something we touched on earlier. Ray Dawson taking over from a £7 claimer. But I need to do a lot more work on the race before I come down to my final selections.
That's fine. They'll be able to find your final thoughts for Saturday and Matty's too on the GG.CO.UK website. But for now, Jubilee Walk given a favourable mention at 20-1 for Andrew, and Fahrenheit 7 is 25-1 top price at the time of recording for Matty in the Ayr Gold Cup. Right, boys, you've done very well. 9 races. We've got through them relatively quickly with enough depth in there too. But I will still ask you, is there anything from anywhere else? So, Matty, is there anything from you from anywhere else?
There wasn't going to be, but I think the 330 at Chester, Hyperfocus, the 11-year-old, is worth a small play off a mark of 67, given he was a winner at Chester last year off a mark of 84. He's been in the doldrums this season, but drawn well in stall 3. He gets his soft ground. So I'll have a small win selection on Hyperfocus in the 340 Chester.
Very well done, Matty, to go through all of these and find something from somewhere else. Andrew, have you managed to find something from somewhere else without having the chance to go for the Ayr Gold Cup?
No, absolutely not.
Fair play. Honesty is the best policy. Right, we've got naps at this stage. So, Andrew, I'll give you a second. I'll go with Matty first. Matty, what would your best bet be for this Saturday from the ITV Racing?
I'll go. Shall we jump in and go for mine first? Give Matty an extra minute.
Let's go to Andrew first. This is unknown for. Right, you're going to go for this time, Andrew.
Funny you should say first. You've just guessed it. First Instincts in 130 at Newbury.
I like that. I feel like you've had to get in early in case Matty was going to steal that one, because it does.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was quite literally about to go for that one. You throw me off again. Put another one. I'll go with Theory of Ties in the 240 at Newbury.
No problem. And it is tricky racing, trappy cards this Saturday. That's why, of course, looking at the boys' columns is the best way to do things. That have point structure system in there. Our naps this week are just obviously tell us what our best bets are, but you guys will know from watching the show, this is a tricky week to get through. But plenty of horses have been mentioned, plenty of horses with good chances. So fingers crossed for some good results again, like we've been doing over the last few weeks.
Dave, what about you, Big Mojo? Come on, what's you managed to get out of napping last week and living on the glory. You can't dine out Big Mojo forever.
I'm still living off Big Mojo forever until this weather passes over, but I'll be back next week with some thoughts, so I'll put all the pressure on myself next week. I might give a nap and a next best if viewers come back. As long as we get enough likes on this video, I'll do exactly that. But thank you all for your support watching these videos. We really do appreciate it. Thanks, Matty and Andrew. This has been a particularly difficult week to get through with the number of runners and the depth of the contest. We've done a sterling job of that, as you always do. We will be back next week. I think Kate may be returning too, so you guys will like to hear that. But for now, best of luck this weekend, and we will see you again next week.